Good morning, Joanne.
Morning, Anne.
Thank you for being here with us this morning. You're going to cover a really important topic on managing and minding our mental health during this peculiar time.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So I'm going to disappear now and I'm going to leave you to it. So you will have about 10 minutes.
Lovely. Okay, good morning, everyone. You're very welcome, and I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to talk to you about reducing stress and managing anxiety at this time. What I do is I actually specialize in the area of stress, anxiety, and fear. I work one-to-one with clients, and I also run workshops and I teach from time to time. Just to give you a little bit of background on myself, ever since college, I used to work in business, in sales, in the corporate world, which I loved. Then roll on the recession and I actually burnt out. Physically, mentally, and emotionally, just completely burnt out. What I realized during this recovery time or this healing time for me was actually that I had anxiety, and I had had anxiety all of my life. I just didn't realize it. And it was actually an anxiety that was in the driver's seat of that just complete burnout. So everything I'm talking about today, or that I'll be teaching you in terms of the techniques or anything I'll be going through with you, is actually that they're tried and tested. They come from my own experience as opposed to from a textbook. So what I'd like to cover with you today is we're going to very briefly look at where stress and where it comes from. I'm going to sanitize where you live. No, that doesn't mean I'm going to turn up on your doorstep with a mop bucket or bleach. I'll explain what I mean by that later. And we're going to look at some pitfalls, things to watch out for, as well as I want to concentrate mainly actually on giving you practical tips to manage anxiety and to reduce stress at the moment. So some tools and tips is what I really want you to go away with. So where does stress come from? For the purpose of today, we're actually not overly concerned about this because, in my opinion, where stress comes from, whether it's coming from your business at the moment and all the stresses that go with that, or whether it's coming from your personal life in terms of our lives being turned upside down, trying to work from home, possibly trying to homeschool, where it actually comes from is not what I'm concerned with today, because if you think about it, no matter where stress comes from, it actually has the same physical, chemical and emotional response in our bodies. And if we look at it even further, stress doesn't always come from our external environment. It can very often come from our minds. So if you remember one thing today, this is what I'd like you to go away with. I want you to remember where you are is not who you are. Who you are is in here in your heart. This is who you are. So no matter where you are at the moment in terms of moodiness, crankiness, grumpiness, angsty, that's not who you are. That is coming from your mind. It is coming from here, from your head. So today what I want to do with you is actually sanitize where you live. Your head is where you live. Your heart is who you are. Before we go on to the tips, I actually want to have a quick look at the pitfalls with you. The first thing we're going to look, actually I'm going to look at the first three together: social contagion, social media, and news. Social contagion is actually the transfer of emotions from one person to another. Namely, here we're talking about fear and panic. And if you look at the behaviors in terms of shopping and the toilet roll scenario, that was a pure example of social contagion. So the virus can actually be contained through social distancing and through hand washing and hygiene and all of that. However, somebody can actually sneeze in your brain from another part of the world. So we've really got to watch out and not allow this to happen to us, that we're being driven into fear and panic by other people's affecting us, affect our emotions, basically. That's what social contagion is. So with that, we've got to be very mindful of our social media, not to overload ourselves with it. Because remember, in times of anxiety, what you put into your head is every bit as important as what you put into your body. The news, Make sure that your news is coming from reliable sources, reliable websites, reliable news channel that you trust. Because while news and knowledge is fantastic, because knowledge kneecaps fear, but just watch with caution is really what I'm saying, and be mindful of social contagion. We've got to avoid panic at all times, because when we go into panic, our prefrontal cortex, which is the part of our brain that we need for logic, rational thinking, planning, that goes offline. So it's really important that we don't go into panic, because we need to keep this online, because in order to be able to plan and see our way out of this. Avoiding feelings through negative distractions is something else that you don't really want to fall into that hole or that trap. By this, what I mean is negative distractions. For example, we can be talking substances here, maybe alcohol, drugs. Some distractions can be slightly better in terms of maybe throwing yourself into work or a cleaning spree, and more people will distract by possibly social media, TV, but just be careful and be mindful of social contagion. When we're in resistance to the situation, that actually creates more pain for us. So just be careful that not to stay in resistance. We may not like the facts, we may not like what we're looking at today in terms of our business or where we're at. However, acceptance is the first step towards corrective action. Acceptance is in no way passive, and it's not giving up. It's actually helping us in terms of taking the first step towards corrective action. Okay, sorry, now it just jumped there on me. Okay, so tips and techniques is what we really want to focus on today as well. The first thing to do is to take action. Understandably, there's so many uncontrollables at the moment, so many factors that we have no control over. However, the things that we do have control over, it could be talking to suppliers, banks, debtors, creditors, just an action, no matter how small it is, any action is better than inaction. What's your thoughts? I'm sure you've all heard at this stage that our thoughts create our reality, our thoughts are creating our future. So then, don't you think it would be a good idea to watch your thinking, see what you've been thinking about, and choosing very, very wisely? Practicing calm with your breath. I know a lot of people can just react to the breath. It almost sounds too simple as a means of dealing with dealing with anxiety. However, it's really, really not to be underestimated. Our breath has the ability to actually calm our body and our physiology. Actually, right now, before I do anything, I would ask you just to take a breath. And as you release, actually drop your shoulders. Notice how your shoulders have the ability to drop possibly an inch or two. That just shows how sometimes tense and uptight we can be if our shoulders are to our ears and we're not even aware. So several times throughout the day, you can just check your shoulders, take a breath, and just drop them. So practicing calm with the breath. What I want to do now with you is actually just get you to observe how you are breathing. So what I want you to do is get one hand, put it at the top of your tummy, above the belly button. Your other hand put below the belly button on your lower tummy. So first of all, what I want you to do now is just practice your breathing. Just breathe normally. And just notice which hand is moving more. Is it the top hand or the bottom hand? So now what I want you to do is I actually want you to exaggerate your breath with me. And I want you to take a breath that is so deep that you really fill your lungs. It's pushing the diaphragm, and you're actually extending your tummy, the lower hand, the bottom of the tummy. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, deep breath in, hold it, really exaggerate it, push out the lower tummy, and now relax. So I'm sure you could feel your hand, your lower hand there, the lower tummy really extending. That is actually how we are to breathe correctly. So taking deep breaths can actually reset the body and recalibrate things within the body and alleviate stress and anxiety. Grounding and connection. So when we're in a state of anxiety or panic or fear or worry, or we're very much overthinking, we're in overwhelm, overdrive, and all of our energy's up around our head. And you could actually see this through Kirlian photography. If you were to photograph, you would see all the energy up here. So what I would ask you to do is just mindfully bring your focus from your head down to your heart. can take anything up to 5 seconds. So you're bringing your energy and your focus down to your heart. And then when it's here, actually bring it down your legs and ground it to your feet. And in terms of grounding, just feel the floor beneath your feet. Is it carpet? Is it soft? Is it timber floor? Just feel your feet on the floor. This is great for bringing the energy down into your body and grounding you down into the earth and connecting with our heart, from our head to our heart's connection. And then there's connection on the whole, which is actually connecting with family, with friends, connecting and networking with work colleagues or other business colleagues, where you can share information and help each other, is also very powerful. Just because we're in social isolation doesn't mean that we have to be isolated or feel isolated.
Sorry, Joanne, just a 2-minute warning there.
Okay, thank you. The other thing we want to look at is anchoring in a positive thought or a positive feeling. So just think of a time, or think of a place actually, that you love to go to, that it brings sense of connection, a sense of peace, sense of calm, where you're in alignment. So just go back to that place or a time that you were there, go back into the memory, and from the memory you can start to create the feelings within you. And once you get the feeling, you can actually spin that feeling, or you can actually intensify it, and then you can lock it in if you wish with your index finger to your thumbs, and just repeat that several times. This is a fantastic way as well as a pattern interrupt. So for example, number 8, there is a pattern interrupt that you can do this to create, because we can actually break or create a state at any time. So if you feel yourself getting into a state of anxiety or panic, you can just do this to break the pattern. Another great thing to do for the pattern interrupt is if you feel yourself getting into overwhelm or anxious, get up, physically move, because your mind thinks you're in danger. So once it realizes the body has got up and physically moved, it thinks now it's okay, you've moved away from the danger, and it's actually okay to recalm and reset. Meditation and mindfulness is absolutely powerful. I have a meditation on my website. It's called Slow Down Your Brainwaves, and it's really the steps, the how to meditate or how to calm the mind. It's about bringing the brainwaves down and to relax. If you're a beginner starter to meditation, I would really recommend that you practice there. It's a really good way because it's the strategy in how to relax the mind. So I was just going to go through these ones in the first column with you. If you have questions on any of the others, like reading, the pattern interrupt, exercise and diet, sleep hygiene, or the do nothing approach, feel free to ask me in the questions and answers section at the very end. So thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions or you would like me to send you on any details, please email me. In terms of the meditation, if you'd like to have it sent to your phone, just email me, ask me, give me your details, and I can send it to you through WhatsApp or whatever medium you would prefer. And my website is joannemorgan.com. If you would like me to send you my newsletter or hear of any workshops or events that I'm running, you can sign up on the website as well to be included in my newsletter. And if I can be of any help at all, please feel free to pick up the phone. Thank you. Thank you, Van.
Thanks very much, Joanne. That was excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.